It's the Harris Football Podcast with your host, Christopher Harris.
Welcome! Hey, everybody, welcome in. My name is Chris, and this podcast is mostly a cork board with yarn, a conspiracy board, as you will have it. Hello there, you wonderful yacht possums. Thank you so much for listening to this very stupid show here on a Thursday morning or whenever you happen to be listening. I think we have a fun and wonderful show for you today.
Break out the footy pajamas.
No. We don't need to break out the footy pajamas just yet. For the New England Patriots, we have a whole other week before we have to do that. The Patriots, famously, with I think I would agree, is the easiest path to a Super Bowl in recorded history. An absolutely incredible murderer's row of bums that they faced for much of the year at quarterback. You wanted to see New England play Spencer Rattler and Brady Cook, Dylan Gabriel, Cam Ward, Joe Flacco, Quinn Ewers, Geno Smith, and Justin Fields. You were very much in luck. And then your road to the Super Bowl consists of two opponents with broken offensive lines, and then Jarrett Stidham. I'm sure there are going to be butthurt Patriot fans out there who still want to have an argument about the schedule. I don't know how you have an argument about the schedule. Buddy, both things can be true. They can be a good team, and they could still have had the heavens open up and the seas part. But we will have plenty of Super Bowl talk next week on this show, both actually on the Yacht Club on Monday and then also here on Thursday. So you know what we should do instead?
It's time for Film Futures or whatever it's called.
Harris watches film, thinking about film futures or whatever it's called. Yeah, we know your team sucks. See, Harris has your back. Looking to the future, gonna get you back on track. Film is what he's got. No need for YPC. Film is what he's got. Doesn't Josh so trashy?
Before we turn over the remainder of the show to you, the listeners, let's do a Film Futures or whatever it's called. And I'm assuming you've seen the title of this episode, so you know, hey, let's take a look at Texans rookie running back Woody Marks, who by the end of the season had clearly become Houston's lead running back. And in the course of a season, you know, I mean, the people who tell you that fantasy football is a math equation, they will certainly have us hunting after whoever touches the ball. And, you know, to some degree, how can we get mad at it? We understand it. We're doing triage on our fantasy teams in the middle of a season. We're looking for answers on the waiver wire. And, of course, you know, the Texans were looking for answers, too. Getting the surprise of Joe Mixon apparently leaving team medical care and having some kind of procedure that made his foot or ankle so much worse that it turned out he'd be gone for the season. And I will operate under the assumption that that relationship, like Mixon's ankle, is completely ruined. So even if Mixon does return at some point to the NFL, I strongly do not believe it will be with the Houston Texans. So the Texans were flailing around with the rotted husk of Nick Chubb, which is sad, but certainly predictable that he would never be the same after his catastrophic leg injury in 2023. And Houston also still had this guy on the roster.
Forwards to the left of me, whistles to the right, Damien runs like a rat stuck in glue.
That would be Dameon Pierce, who I believe I told you back in his rookie year of 2022 that he wasn't a super special player. And sure enough, in 2023, it was Devin Singletary who outshone Dameon Pierce. And, you know, in 2025, Pierce couldn't even really get active for most game days and would be released by November. And the Texans also still had Dare Ogunbowale on their roster. And with all those touches available because of injuries and ineffectiveness, Ogunbowale had 21 touches for the entire season. And they had Jawar Jordan, who stayed on the practice squad until December, and blah, blah, blah. You can see that this is all a way of saying those people who tell you fantasy football is a math equation are just looking for touches. And obviously, Woody Marks had a big opportunity for touches in his rookie season. And by week 4, 3 straight losses convinced the Texans that relying on Nick Chubb was a bad idea. And so Marks became, I'm going to say, over the sweep of the season, the starter. There were certainly dribs and drabs, ups and downs, games where, wait, why is Chubb touching it more? But as the season went along, it certainly was more Marks. And this is a lot of detail about situation, but I think it's important because it's important for us to be able to separate opportunity from talent, which is definitely not going to mean, as you're going to hear here, that Woody Marks doesn't have talent. But during the season, if you're not watching every game and only getting to see the Texans when, for example, they're on the national broadcasts, the main input that you're getting about, say, Woody Marks is a fawning announcer who had his talking points written for him about how, wow, can you believe this guy lasted into the 4th round of the draft? What a steal. Look at this, look at that. Unbelievable, what a play, which I do think can wear on us and subliminally sometimes convince us that a player is awesome when he's merely just getting an opportunity because of circumstance. So here's our chance, or, my chance. I rewatched just about everything yesterday. Some of his carries not that interesting and not a lot of need to linger, so I had my finger on the advance button pretty regularly, but some certainly quite interesting. I think Woody Marks is pretty good. I am not fully sold that he is 100% locked in as whatever passes for a full-time running back starter next year. Translation, I'm not sure that he's the 75+% work share guy that he got to be towards the end of the year. Now, Chubb will be gone. Mixon will 99% be gone. And if Jawar Jordan is the competition and it's those two guys as the backfield, that would be great for Marks. I'm not saying Jordan stinks. He's quick. He had a good game. He's smaller than Marks. And Marks isn't huge, obviously. Upon having gone through this exercise for today, if you're asking me to guess what Houston will do in their backfield, I think they are going to get a bigger back to pair Marks with. Maybe it's a big-time name, like, maybe it's Breece Hall or Kenneth Walker. And if that's the case, that'll tell us what the Texans think of Woody Marks. 4th-round player, cheap contract, not the center of our future backfield plans. But if I'm the Texans, as much as I certainly, like those star running backs, that's not where I would be spending money. Marks, Chubb, everyone else in 2025, they were running behind a terrible run-blocking offensive line. And by the way, they were terrible at pass blocking too. Terrible. Which is why when people this summer tell you, I've looked at the advanced metrics, Woody Marks had a low rush yards over expected. You should tell those people to go pound sand, because there's just no way that those ridiculous expected numbers can account well enough for a blocking environment as bad as Houston's. It's all fruit from the poisonous tree. It stunk. And my point is, where I would be spending my money and my high draft picks is up and down that offensive line, which is a criminal area of neglect. And I think, at least going into the offseason, the only glaring weakness on Houston's entire team. And yeah, that includes C.J. Stroud. I do not think C.J. Stroud sucks. That will be another popular opinion this summer because of his playoff performance against the Patriots, which was, it was very bad, but it's just not possible to separate it from that truly ridiculous offensive line. And I'm not going to do it. All right, so what is Woody Marks? He is good. I think he's a starting level running back in the NFL. Certainly better than Dameon Pierce. And I think the numbers aren't going to tell us that he's a starting level player, again, because of the line. Or at least the metric numbers, the advanced analytics, quote unquote, which are, I think, kind of horsepucky. Not everybody can be Jahmyr Gibbs. Not everybody can be Bijan Robinson or Saquon Barkley. And no, Marks isn't. When I say he's a starting level running back, I'm not talking elite. He doesn't have overpowering size. He doesn't have super elite long speed. But I think Marks's combination of quickness and a little bit of surprising power gets him creases, and people want to tell you, wow, he's small, if they do. He's not giant, no question, and he's not shaped exactly the same way because Ashton Genty has those tree trunk legs and big booty. But Marks is basically the same size as Genty in that 210-pound range. And there's so much stuffage for him and all the Houston running backs that you have to keep sifting through the runs and find the better block plays, which, obviously, eventually, even a blind squirrel finds a nut. Like, against the 49ers, I thought it was depleted 49ers, no question, but the Houston offensive line had a good day in that game. And that was week 8. And if you just want to watch a few plays of that game, if you can go find those plays, you can see some runs where you can find what's interesting about Marks, where he gets good blocking. You'll see some jump cutting and bouncing ability, but I think you probably have been listening long enough to know that isn't really what floats my boat. It's good to know it's there. There is some explosiveness, maybe not long speed, but pretty okay acceleration. Also, though, Marks has this willingness to run, for example, inside zone and run it hard and stick it with a single cut and then go. There's also a run in that game against the Niners where a defensive end has him dead to rights in the backfield, and Marks hits him with a hesitation. The guy falls down, and then does he run around the outside? No, he goes north-south, gets as much as he can on what is essentially a blown-up play. This is not, I reiterate, the Dameon Pierce rookie season. I can almost promise you that. By the end of the season, Marks was dealing with an ankle injury, and I think he had a shoulder injury too. You certainly didn't notice those injuries in the playoff win against the Steelers. What I liked best in that game, everybody thought, well, that is a very hard matchup for a bad offensive line in Pittsburgh. And Marks is just, again and again, he's absolutely willing to just go hit it, run straight ahead, go where the play's supposed to go. And he did take some big hits. But it just serves an offense so much better. If you are willing to take a hit and go up the middle, it sets up the outside stuff so much more when you don't bounce everything to the outside. And there are a couple runs on tape from that Steeler game where he does eventually get free, sometimes around the edge, sometimes up the middle. And Marks has a super ability to have a pursuer think that he's got an angle on him, and on the dead run, Marks will make a decisive adjustment that catches the would-be tackler off guard, and it turns into a bunch of extra yards. And listen, bad taste in our mouths, the playoff loss against the Patriots, that was 14 carries, 17 yards. And most crucially, you could argue maybe Woody Marks lost Houston that game. That was late third quarter, I think 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Patriots 21, Texans 13. Houston drives it down. They're in the red zone. Marks gets an inside handoff. What else is new? It's totally bottled up. He just tries to batter into the big bodies, and he gets knocked off balance. He doesn't go down. Obvious now in retrospect, it would have been better if he had, but he kept his balance. He kind of steadied himself and staggered a little bit and got the right edge and turned it upfield, and Christian Gonzalez got a hand in there and ripped out the ball, and it was an absolute crusher of a fumble, and Marks would be punished in that game. He would not touch the ball but one more time the entire rest of the game. I'm sure D'Amico Ryans wasn't thrilled, but I also think during the long Houston winning streak, Marks was a big part of why it kept going, even if the numbers weren't incredible, or the analytics, or the metrics, or whatever. And I think the Texans probably know this. The truth will only be revealed once we know the Texans' offensive plans in the offseason, because, they're going to add somebody. One more, if not multiple, at least professional quality running backs. And the level and quality of the investment will probably tell us what they think about Woody Marks. But the strengths are real here, and I think repeatable. He's not superhuman. He's good. A good, honest, straight-ahead runner when he needs to be, not looking to avoid at the prospect of contact and thinking that every play can be a big play. Like, you want to ask me whose rookie tape is better, Woody Marks or R.J. Harvey. So I haven't done the exercise that I just did for Marks for Harvey. But right now, at least where I'm sitting right now, and it's not a fair comp because I haven't done the work on Harvey. Right now, I'll tell you Marks. Even if he's not quite the same level of athlete as Harvey, because he's just not trying to hit home run every run. He's willing to get north-south I just think that serves an offense much better. And Marks has legit cutting ability that can make big plays, even if he's not likely to make a career out of outrunning a defense. It's a good player. This is for fantasy, an RB2 kind of player, depending on whether Houston winds up adding a bigger time running back. Maybe, the Marks style of player, the Bucky Irving style of player. I think Irving is better in this regard, but this kind of, smaller back who takes a lot of contact, that guy might not last forever and might frustrate us with injuries because it's a hard road taking punishment at that side. There was the ankle, there was the shoulder. Marks was missed time. He was injured some this year. But I leave this Film Futures, or whatever it's called, feeling pretty bullish on Woody Marks.
Today's kickoff.
Okay, on today's show, now it's time to turn it all over to you. This is our winter special total request episode where we've picked out a bunch of questions from the listeners and we will answer them. Some of them are about football and some of them are about chickpeas because our guest will be Denny Carter from Rotoworld. I think you'll have a fun time listening. I'm so happy to have you here listening today. We are sponsored again today by Mosh. These are protein bars that I love. They really taste quite good, and they come with a great cause and a great benefit. Mosh was founded by Maria Shriver and her son Patrick Schwarzenegger to create a conversation about brain health through food. Maria's father suffered from Alzheimer's. Since then, she's been dedicated to helping families deal with that awful disease. Mosh is the first and only protein bar boosted with cognizin and other brain-supporting ingredients. Plus, Mosh donates a portion of all proceeds to fund brain health research. And let me also just say, the Mosh bars are delicious. I love them. I also just gifted a box of them to my neighbor in Amherst. They're great. There are 9 great flavors, and if you're plant-based, they also have an option for that as well. Mosh is a way to give back and fuel your body and your brain. To get 20% off with free shipping on their bestsellers trial pack or their plant-based pack, go to moshlife.com/Harris. That's MOSHLIFE.com/Harris. moshlife.com/Harris for 20% off.
Today's guest.
Denny Carter's on the pod today. He's the happy nihilist from Tilt City, USA. Goes to Arby's every day, meets with truthers by the dumpster and then says, hey babe, take a good long shower cry. Said, hey honey.
That is classic Carter. That is Denny Carter's first walk-up song on the show. Take a good long shower cry. It is Denny Carter. Find him on Blue Sky. Just search him out there. He's very popular on that platform. And it's such a pleasure to get him on for another listener request episode. Hi, Denny.
Hey, Chris. Thank you for having me on the show once again. And also, yes, Blue Sky. An increasingly sports-centric platform. The sports enjoyers are joining more and more, so check that out. And I do want to say I actually heard the Shower Cry song on classic rock radio the other day, which I think tells you how old that song is now.
You heard the mixtape? That's unbelievable. They actually got a hold of our mixtape about you, and it was on radio.
They did. They played it right after some Nirvana, which for some reason Nirvana is on classic rock radio.
Also classic, yeah. Also classic. All right. Well, you've done. You're an original cast member on this show from 10+ years ago.
Oh yeah.
When we both were younger, that's how it works. But we looked a lot better than we look
younger.
Now. Yeah.
Oh man, Chris. The other day I saw David Duchovny doing some sort of new show, and big X-Files guy, and I was like, wait, what? I was like, wait, what is this? What is this age thing? And then I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, my God. Yeah.
Shriveled head. David Duchovny had a big giant head, and now he's got a shriveled little wrinkled head. It's really sad. And so you've, over the course of the many, many years you've been doing this show, you've also done many of these listener request episodes. And to be honest, I push to have you on for them because the people love asking you very specific questions. And I'm going to lead with the most asked about topic, and somehow it's not chickpeas.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a little bit of a letdown, but you're going to understand why when I read all of these questions that are about the same thing, by far, from the folks in the Discord for the Yacht Club, on Blue Sky. By far, the most asked about topic was outdoor football. Matt asked, why doesn't every team have a dome yet? Joe Coe says, do you like inclement weather games in the NFL? Do you want to continue to see them in the playoffs? Brandon Sanford says, please give Denny 10 interrupted minutes to make the case for all football playing in domes. Nick LaPointe says, I just want to hear you two argue about snow games. So I'm very pro weather in football, and you're not, but go ahead and make your case.
Well, look, I know I just want to be clear. My stance is soulless and bloodless. Okay. So I'm not here to say like this should appeal to everybody. I totally get that people, I don't get why, but I get that people enjoy nasty weather, mud, rain. I guess they don't have mud anymore, right? Because there are no real grass fields anymore. It's just the fake grass stuff. But snow, like the other day in Denver. And I saw that the Broncos owner, or one of the owners, said, when we have a retractable roof in the coming years, we will close it for games like that. I think it hurts the product. I think it hurts the on the field product. And I'm fantasy and bio. Like, I'll be honest with you guys. Like, fantasy
Just
and
about
bio,
the fantasy numbers.
yeah, fantasy in brain. Like, I like my stats. I like the passing. I like lots of points. I like lots of yards. And yeah, it doesn't happen. That doesn't happen when it snows. It's just disgusting, except for when I remember one Tom Brady game against the Titans when I think the Patriots scored like 59 in the snow, which was amazing. I don't like it. I want to see more domes. I want to see Caleb Williams play in a dome, which he will one day soon. I guess that's my spiel.
I think at least you admitted that it's soulless and bloodless, because it sure is. I am exactly the opposite. I don't care that much about your fantasy team, yours or anybody else's. I care about them, but I think everybody can deal with it one time, especially playoff games. Like, which of the championship games from last weekend are you going to remember in 10 years?
The Broncos, yeah.
Yeah, because it was fun, because it was different. Like, it is that thing of homogenization, corporatization.
Sure.
You are an iconoclast, my friend. We know each other fairly well, and you are not typically in the pocket of big billionaire. And shooting for the homogenized product in which the over under of every game is 60 is exactly what the billionaires want. They want easy. They want, I don't have to pay money to take care of a field. They want all that stuff. Hey man, if you want to side with billionaires, that's up to you.
I know. It's funny because I, get a lot of pushback. And yeah, it's first of all, it's not a bit. Like, I actually do like indoor football. But I also exaggerate for effect and because it's fun online, and I guess it gets my dopamine receptors churning.
You need something.
Yeah. 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 That is one thing I get in my replies every time I talk about dome football is you're a lackey for the billionaire. You're holding water for carrying water for the billionaires.
Fair.
I don't. When I say I like dome football, I'm not saying that I like when billionaires threaten local city councils and mayors until they give up billions in taxpayer money to build the dome. I don't like that.
I mean, all well and good, buddy. That's like saying, I like eating chicken. I just don't like them killing the birds.
Is that the only? Yeah, I guess maybe is that the only way that a stadium's built anymore?
Yeah,
I guess it is.
Especially the Empyreans, these monuments to greed, and capitalism. Yes, that is the only way they get made.
Well, the Chiefs are leaving Missouri because Missouri wouldn't pony up the money for a dome, right? I mean, that's
Unreal.
and the Chiefs are going to play indoors
If
forever.
they want to give up, if they want to give up an advantage, okay. I mean, the thing about, I think, the teams that are going to stay outside is that when they get to host playoff games, the numbers tell you it is a massive advantage. When some soft dome team has to come up and play in Baltimore, like, that's going to be a problem for them.
That's a good point. So who will the holdouts be in the end, right? You have the Bills; they'll never have a dome.
No, they're getting a new stadium, but it won't be like it is now. It won't be pure open air. There's going to be some protection, but it will still be elements. If it's raining or snowing, you'll still have it. Yeah.
And then Steelers will never ever have a dome.
I wouldn't think so.
The Browns will have a dome soon. Bengals will never have one because their owner's too cheap.
Patriots, same thing.
Yes. Yeah. So okay. So you're going to have 5 to 7 teams that will be in cold weather with no domes. But that's it. I mean, a lot of these teams are moving into dome stadiums. I think eventually that will be standard operating procedures, like every game's in a dome. But I guess I do see what you're saying. I do see what you're saying. The homogenization could be boring.
Boring and like an advantage for my team, advantage for, the outdoor teams who get to host playoff games. Speaking of the Bills, we had a popular question. Becca says, was the Bills situation, was it a coup? Rich Keene says, on a scale of 1 to a Republican administration, okay, back off, Rich. How bad have the last 2 weeks gone for the Buffalo Bills? I have seen you refer to Brandon Beane as Littlefinger online. Wow. All I can say is, I thought Sean McDermott needed to go, no question about it. But the palace intrigue that led to Joe Brady being named the head coach is something else.
It is. Yeah, I think I referred to Joe Brady as Littlefinger.
Okay. Sorry.
Because the chaos is a ladder thing. Like, he emerges from all this as the head coach. That's crazy. Like, he got the old OC fired. He's just sort of waiting in the wings for for the coup to happen, and then he's like, "I'm your guy." I don't know. I think this is a team that's like basically the Jets. They happen to have Josh Allen, so that makes it okay.
Are you galled by McDermott's firing? I'm not.
I think it was a mistake. I said on the Rotoworld football show, Rotopat disagreed with me vehemently. I mean, he said no, like they should have fired him years ago. I get the playoff wall, or the kind of bumping up against the ceiling, not getting to the promised land. I get all that. I also see a coach who has been incredibly successful for almost a decade and gets you to the point where, if one day you can break through, everything's okay. And the owner, Terry Pegula, I guess his name is, he goes, they asked him, what did you base the firing on? And he said, the Broncos loss. So it came down to one game for him. He said he walked into the locker room and players were crying. He said, at that point, I knew I had to fire Sean McDermott. So I guess this is the first time players have ever been upset after a postseason loss. That's kind of
if he's telling the truth, that's obviously incredibly stupid. I would be on Pat's side of the McDermott thing because it's not the numbers. I mean, I think the problem with sports analysis right now is it's too much about the numbers. You have to think back to what Sean McDermott's a good coach and should get another job, and in a different room with a different group of players might get better. He's had very good results, might get great results. Like, I don't think just because you deserve to be fired from one job, that means you're bad. You're terrible. Mm-hmm. He's not a terrible coach. He's clearly not. But there are so many instances in the playoffs where it wasn't just about some player making a mistake. It was bad strategy, bad clock management, bad defensive plans. You can point to so many micro moments where Sean McDermott just wasn't the guy that was going to tighten the screws and figure it all out the way you need to figure it out over the course of a season. But so I don't have a problem with that part of it. The problem I have is with the Joe Brady part of it. Like, boy, things are really rotting around here. We really need a fresh new voice. So, that guy's been standing there for 5 years. How about him? It seems crazy.
I know. But I think, Chris, that catastrophic press conference with Pagula and Bean, I think that probably turned off a lot of potential Bills coaches. Like, whoa, like that seems like a real snake pit that I don't really want to jump into. Also, Brandon Bean, having built this team that has a lot of flaws. I mean, defensively they're fine, but like offensively, what do they have? Allen and they have James Cook, and that's pretty much it. Well, I guess Kincaid was a good pick as well. But so Bean gets a promotion from all that. That's wild. So maybe they had to fall back on a guy like Joe Brady.
I always feel so lucky when we're sponsored by Stitch Fix because I get to tell you about my favorite way to shop for clothing. I'm not a mall guy. I'm not a scroll clothes shopper either. I just don't have the patience for it. But of course, I like to look good. So how to find clothes that are right for me? I use Stitch Fix. I really do. I have a personal human stylist at Stitch Fix who just gets me. I took an easy style quiz, and now whenever I feel like I want a clothes refresh, my stylist sends me some choices that she thinks will work for me. Free shipping. I get these clothes at home. I try everything on at my leisure. I keep and pay for the stuff I like, and I send back the rest. And that sending is also free. It's just great. It's not a subscription, just whenever you feel like you want to go shopping at home. It's really worth trying. I have so many things I've gotten from Stitch Fix: pants, sweaters, sweatshirts. Could not recommend it more. You can get started today if you want some new clothes, but you don't really want to go shopping. StitchFix.com/Harris, and you'll get $20 off your first order, and they'll waive their first styling fee. StitchFix.com/Harris. All right, we're back with Denny. We're taking your questions. We have Colemia. If the Seahawks fail to run it on the 1 yard line again, does that confirm that we're in a time loop?
No, it does. It does. I think it actually does confirm that not only a time loop, but we're in a simulation as well. And the makers of the simulation are just getting lazy at that point. Yeah.
Josh Soares, why does it seem every player no longer uses their mouth guard but just lets it hang? And does this make me an old man for caring about it?
It doesn't. Well, maybe it does. Okay, it does because I care about it too, and I have the personality of like a 60-year-old man. So, yeah. I don't know what's going on with that. Have you noticed that, Chris?
I mean, I notice even not just their hockey players this all the time. They have the mouth guard, but they chew it and don't actually put it over their teeth. So like Caleb Williams plays with it. It's not dangling. Or maybe it's a different kind of dangling. It's not like dangling from their face mask. They're just it's like sticking out the side of their mouth. Yeah.
So, but this is a Steph Curry thing, right? This is
maybe, yeah.
Because he doesn't ever have it in his mouth either. He just has it. He just sort of bites on it and like plays with it during the game. I guess that that looks cool. I don't know. I mean, I can't figure out. Maybe it's the fact that every rich person, every celebrity has the same veneers now, and they don't feel like they need to protect them as much.
Speaking of which, Matthew Stafford just went a few lumens too bright. It would have been fine. It would have been fine to have them that even, but they're just insane. It's just, couldn't you have gone for slightly less than Supernova as the color?
Yeah, Matthew Stafford asked for the Rex Ryan veneers, and you should never ask for the Rex Ryan veneers because
never.
I mean, Rex Ryan's teeth, I haven't seen him recently, but I remember one time seeing him on TV and I couldn't pay attention to what he was saying. They were just too bright.
The Liverpool former coach Jurgen Klopp, remember him?
I've heard of him.
You've seen the teeth. You've seen the teeth.
Yeah. Yeah. That guy. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
And people asked him about his veneers. He was like, "Yeah, my teeth were horrible. I'm super happy to have them." It just seems like not being able to close your mouth would be a problem because they stick out so far. It's dental science has not yet mastered.
Yeah, I feel like young people, like people in their 20s today, have no idea about how it used to be, where like everybody had different teeth, like in the public eye, you know. But now everybody has the exact same teeth and
It
smile.
just feels
It's
it feels like it would feel weird to have like something on top of your actual teeth. Just seems. Huh?
Oh,
All right. Well, anyway.
Yeah, there was an article about how this is going to be bad for these folks in the long run. Like they don't last forever. Anyway,
Yeah.
go ahead.
All right, food. Here we go. Finally, we're getting into your
Okay.
wheelhouse here. Future Poop asks, number 1, which current NFL player is most likely to eat more chickpeas than Denny? We'll just start with that one.
I'm trying to think of like if there's like a particularly weird health fanatic.
Brady.
Although
It's got to be Brady.
Oh yeah,
He's not
no,
current,
right.
I guess. Yeah.
No, he's not current, but he could be, I think.
He probably could.
Yeah,
All
I
those
mean-
chickpeas? Are you kidding me? He could play
Yeah,
to
man.
60.
He definitely eats a lot of chickpeas. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to, maybe Russell Wilson. I feel like he might be like devouring chickpeas in various forms. It's just someone, someone who thinks a lot about, what they're eating and protein and whatever else,
Number 2, and this is not a food question. How anxious do you get when you receive a show sheet from me?
No, I used to be. But not quite as anxious anymore. I used to. I don't even know if I've told you this, but the first couple times I went on your show, I was like, I had to like collect myself, and like I would like grind the show sheet and have like 100 notes under every bullet point, or 100 bullet points under every question, and I would be like, I'm super prepared, and then you get into a conversation and you can't really use that stuff, like you can't be like, excuse me while I read my notes. And so I was like, okay, I can't. I have to figure out a different way to approach this because this is messing me up.
I mean, to be a guest on my show is to put up with my obvious persnickety problems. No question. Like, I'm dealing with my mental health issues by talking with my friends who come on the
I think
show.
we all are. Yeah.
And like all, what you learn over the years is what Chris's triggers are. And if I'm going to come in and be like, well, his yards per carry is really good, you're going to get yelled at. So why would you do that? Like there's like his yards over expected. It's so like, just, you can think that, you can have that belief in yourself, but if you're going to come on the show and talk about it, you're going to get yelled at.
I did learn the hard way not to talk about over expected on your show.
I'm so good. Scorchin says, has Denny Carter eaten any real jerky in his life yet? This is important to find out.
That's funny. Yeah. So on Living the Stream with me and JJ Zacharyson, we talked about beef jerky, and I told him that I had never had beef jerky, and JJ was horrified. And he said, listen, I'm going to hook you up with like the good stuff. Like he knows a guy who knows a guy, right? He actually said, I'm going to hook you up with the clean beef jerky. It's a very funny phrase, I think. So I waited patiently for my clean beef jerky, and one day I got a package from JJ, and I opened it, and I took a picture of me eating this beef jerky, and it was fine. But then he tells me, "Oh no, that's the wrong one. They sent you the wrong one. It's not clean." And I said, "Oh my God, what have I done? I've eaten the dirty beef jerky." So I guess not. I guess I have not had real beef jerky.
Yeah, you have. I mean, I wasn't always a vegetarian. Like in the 90s, I had beef jerky. I don't find it to be that good. I don't miss meat very much, and certainly jerky is not the thing that I would miss. Yeah,
man. I don't know. I was watching some like post-apocalyptic show once where they were eating beef jerky a lot, and I was like, that looks pretty good. I could eat that. I could eat that after the apocalypse.
You'll make an exception. I probably would too. My vegetarianism would go out pretty quick, probably. Davis Wynn says, is JJ Zacharyson's gluten, soy, dairy thing, is that a bit?
It's not a bit, man. It is not. That is real, for real. Like, when JJ makes a decision to like go in on something, he goes all the way in. And you could see that with the business he's built. You can see that with like the social media presence he's built over the years. Like he goes in, and when he I guess, I mean, he's been public about it. I'm not like talking about things I shouldn't talk about on air. He said, he's had stomach issues, he's had other
Yeah.
things like gastrointestinal issues, and he
I've
said,
talked to him
go-"
about it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I know a lot of this is just for his own health, for his own like personal like comfort.
and he said, I'm going to fix it. And he did. And he did.
Yeah.
And he went, I mean, and he has
Great.
been very disciplined about that stuff. I know it sounds funny, and he really plays on it, like during Living the Stream. He really goes for it. And I appreciate that, because he could be honestly, he could be very sensitive to it if he wanted to. Like why are you making fun of my health issues? But he's not. He's not. And I think he's done a good job with like making it sound like a bit, but it's not.
Yeah, I mean, once you find out that, especially as you get older, once you find out that you have food that makes you feel awful, it just gets way easier to be. When you're a kid, you're like, yeah, so I'll feel awful. I really like this thing, and you get a little older, and you're like, I don't like feeling this bad. I don't want to be on the toilet for 5 hours. What can I do? Like that is definitely a thing. And I think even on the show, I've talked to JJ about it, and he's like in way less pain. I'm like, man, I love you. That's awesome. That's so good.
Also,
I recommend people do it.
He looks great. Like I take no pleasure as a 42-year-old who doesn't look like he did when he was 32. He looks, I mean, JJ is in amazing shape. And that's hard to do. It's hard to do as you grow up and, you have little kids and all this stuff, like, and you get older and just less energy. But he's JJ at whatever, how old are you? 39, I guess he is, somewhere in there. He's in much better physical condition than he was at 29, and he would tell you that.
Great. Yeah.
And much respect. I'm going to see him actually at the Super Bowl, this weekend.
Nice. I will not be there. It's very close for me. I'm not going. It's not happening. It sounds like my worst nightmare, Radio Row. Oh my God.
How far
I never
is it?
did it. I mean, LA to San Francisco it's an hour plane ride, maybe a little more.
Well, you're about to sound like the Californians to me on the SNL sketch. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have seen it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, mostly I just don't want to sit on Radio Row. I mean, you came to Los Angeles for the Rams-Bengals Super Bowl. We hung out, and then you were like, okay, I'm going to Radio Row. Are you? It's 3 blocks from your apartment. I'm like, no, I am not going. And if I didn't go I mean, I could get credentials, and I don't want to.
You really, here's what you missed that year. You missed mid-tier NFL players selling NFTs.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Jamalisms. This is the last of the food takes, and we'll have to go faster here to get to more of these questions. This is my fault. Last of the food questions: hummus or garlic hummus?
I do like a little garlic. Too much garlic, no thank you.
I'll take either one. Both sound delightful to me. My biggest reason I don't eat a ton of hummus is that I don't really want to eat the chips, because it's something else that just doesn't make me feel that good. But like with pita, it's not fried or whatever. Rock on, brother.
Pita is really good with hummus. You're right.
Aaron Williams says, would love to hear a story from each of you of your favorite personal league moment or an unexpected outcome from your leagues this year.
Unexpected moment. My team sucked.
It wasn't a moment, but it was a slow motion moment.
Yeah. Do you have one off the top of your head?
The thing that stands out is just, and I think it was 2021 or 2020, one of those two. Like, I won both La Liga Lebowski and Large in the same year, never been done before or since. And like, it's pretty fluky. These are hyper competitive leagues. One of them is the craziest dynasty league ever. One's a 16-team league with just so much randomness in it, and winning both the same year was with not that similar teams, because you just can't. The way those formats of those leagues are, you just can't stack it that way. One's a dynasty. You got who you got, kind of. And then the other one was, redraft mostly. And somehow I remember it takes a lot for me to care that much about fantasy anymore, to be honest. Especially by the end of the year, I'm ready.
Me too.
I'm like, let's get done. And so it takes a lot for me to like sit back and just smile and giggle and go, man, that was awesome. So I mean, that'll stand out probably.
So the question is, would love to hear a story from each of you of your favorite personal league moment. So like of all time, right? That's what you're saying.
Anything?
Okay.
Just talking here.
Yeah. Well, there was a league. I won the Apex Writers League back in last year in 2024, and I had the most mid team ever. Like it wasn't even a good team, and I just sort of hung around. And it's never really happened to me. I usually have like a dominant team that wins, or I have a horrible team that like barely contends, right? But I sort of hung around. I made the playoffs just barely, and then my team got red hot, and that was a very cool feeling. I don't think in all the years I've been playing fantasy, I don't think I've ever had a team that like hit its stride when it counts the most. That was fun.
That's amazing. Here's a question I didn't do any research for. I just wanted to mention it because Ballpark Bugler, such a great poster in the Discord. Has there ever been a 3-game series in an NFL season as good as Rams Seahawks from this past year? And the answer is probably yes, but like I don't know them, and it was awesome.
Is it possible that the Ray Lewis Ravens played the Eddie George Titans 3 times in the season?
I don't think so. Were they ever in the same division?
I mean, I think this was before realignment. But I remember
Steelers. I bet Steelers Ravens probably have had 3 good ones when they met when they also met in the playoffs.
Yeah, with the like Flacco era.
Sure.
Yeah. But this was a good one. The Rams Seahawks was a good one.
Not only close games, but like ridiculous endings. Like a constant stream of insanity. In at least 2 of the 3 games, which is pretty funny and good. Julie says, this again does not need a long answer. Julie says, given the history of Hollywood lechery, why shouldn't Sydney Sweeney date Harris? Come on.
I've been asking this for like 2 years.
It's a great question.
When I see Sydney in California this weekend, I'll ask her, what's up with you, my boy Harris?
BG, she's way too young. BG says, do either of you have a defining moment in your fantasy football career that shaped your philosophy?
This is a tough one. So I probably, this is probably on the negative side. Back in like I want to say like 16 and 17, when I really did the whole like 0 RB thing, really like fervently in every league, and it really paid off, and I did well in a lot of leagues, and I was like, this is how I'm going to do this forever. And I should have re-examined my priors, because since then, as you all know, the league has gone in a different direction, in a more defense run heavy direction, and that 0 RB thing doesn't work as well anymore because of it.
Yeah. I would say for me, it probably is about my career, to be honest, because I played fantasy for in college and whatever, like in the 90s and stuff, and then and into the aughts, and then in the late aughts I had been playing for a long time, but I'd just been playing however, I just kind of like everybody else. I don't think I didn't think about it that much. It's just I thought I was good at it because I knew football, but I probably wasn't all that good at it. And in the covering it, when I first started working for, first Yahoo and then ESPN, I was covering baseball more than football. I covered NASCAR when I first started working at ESPN, and it was obvious that football was like the popular thing. And the philosophical change was, I remember sitting around the rankings summit that I've talked about on this show a million times and thinking there's so many bad arguments being made by certain people who we won't talk about, that I feel like I need a new rubric. And whereas in baseball, the numbers do a good job of defining what's really happening, I was coming to the realization that the numbers they did a good job of describing what happened, but not what will happen, because of the small sample sizes and the crazy chaos of every play and stuff. And there was a moment, 2 or 3 years into my ESPN career where I realized, it is possible to watch every game. It is technically possible. You can watch every game like on a Sunday and into a Monday and maybe, like carry over into a Tuesday. And this is before you could get these things online, and ESPN would send me DVDs of games.
Really?
From, like midweek. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Like 2011, 2012, something like that. Yeah. And I'd say philosophically, that's where the birth of the Fantasy Underground at ESPN, and then the birth of this podcast, obviously all stems from this idea that you actually can watch all the games.
As you know, I don't watch all the games. I cover 2 games every Sunday for Rotoworld, and I write about them and talk about them on the Sunday Night Podcast. I don't watch all the games. I will say, as far as like content goes, it's the content that you create, and I know I hate that word, but it is what it is. The content that I create is better when I watch. When I can like talk about what I'm seeing, whether it's funny or stupid or good or bad, whatever it is, it does kind of animate that analysis in ways that you can't do with just spreadsheets. So I will concede that.
We are sponsored again by the good folks at Lisa, the ones who make my mattress in a U.S. factory. I feel great planting the bug in your ear that if you hear me talk about Lisa and then you realize, oh, you know what? I have been feeling kind of stiff and sore when I wake up, and it has been a while since I got a new mattress. Maybe I really should start thinking about a new one. Obviously, that's not everybody who's currently hearing the sound of my voice, but if it's you, I would love it if you'd keep Lisa in mind. The mattresses are great. They have several feels for different kinds of sleepers. And Lisa is also just a terrific company. They've been with us on the show for about a decade. Over that time, they have donated tens of thousands of mattresses to homeless shelters. They give to the cause to get plastic out of the oceans. They're just good folks. And if you go to leesa.com, I can get you 20% off your new mattress. And if you check out using the code Harris, they'll take another $50 off the top. So if it's time, I'd love it if you'd remember Lisa. 20% off at leesa.com and $50 more off when you use that code Harris. We are back with Denny, and we are going to get to some more of your questions. This one is coming from an A. Barons of Chicago, Illinois, who says, I have heard reports that Denny will never, quote, close the loop on this one, end quote, nor will he, quote, circle back with you, end quote. If true, I think he needs to state it publicly.
Yeah. God, I hate those phrases. But yes, Andrew Barons is right. I will never do either of those things. I remember, I mean, I'm not in that sort of world anymore, but like, I remember working for some publications where people would send those all the time. Let's close the loop on this. And here's the thing, Chris, no one ever closes the loop. There is no loop closing. That's it's a farce. It's a farce. No one actually does the thing where you close the loop. It drives me nuts.
Can I tell you that? So I don't have nearly as much business communication as I used to, but the ad side of this show, I run it all myself, and I love the sponsors and especially the agencies that I deal with. They're honestly, the agency people, the individual people they're so kind and nice and wonderful to me. So I don't have anything bad to say, but there are verbal tics or email tics that come through. The one that I think has overtaken all of it must have. I have no exposure to it other than that arena, but I have to imagine it's everywhere. Instead of saying we agree, it's saying we're in alignment.
Oof. Come on.
So man. You go, I'll write back and say, so are we sure this is the date and this is the thing? Are we all set? We are in alignment.
So you're a robot. I mean, like, why just talk like a person?
We're aligned on that.
Oh
okay, man, we're aligned on that.
Yeah, and this is before Gmail was like begging you to use its AI function to write all your emails, right? Like this is you could say, well, a robot is writing it. Maybe that's true today, but it wasn't true 8 years ago or 10 years ago when I was getting emails with people saying, Let's circle back on this and close the loop. And I'm like, well, what? Like, so we have to like create like a time on the calendar and then meet and go through all that to close the loop. Can we just do that right now? No?
This thread is deleted. I closed the loop whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
Steve Weiss says, I'm interested in non-drummer drum takes because Steve is a professional drummer. Do you have any favorite drummers? Any songs with memorable rhythm sections? He just basically said, talk about drums.
Okay. I'm not like one of these guys who can like talk fluently about drummers from like famous bands or like little known bands or whatever. Here's what I'll say. When I think of drums, I think of Led Zeppelin, and I think of one album in particular by Queens of the Stone Age called Songs for the Deaf. I believe Dave Grohl played on that whole album, played the drums on the whole album, and there are a couple songs that are I feel like the drums are outrageous. Like they get me every time. I've listened to that album 100 times. Those are the two things I think of.
Yeah, I would say I'm definitely also not a drum geek. I'm not really a naming musicians geek anymore. I think I used to be more, but I really appreciate drums so much, but it's so far away from I can play guitar a little bit, not awesome, but like I'm okay. So I can relate to guitar players. I understand the rubric. I get what it's like when you listen to a guitar player and you kind of understand what they're doing, but then they're so much better than you, so they can do. I wrote a novel about a rock band, and I talked about drumming. That like Catherine in that band is like I talked about drumming a lot, but boy, I had to fake it because I have no frame of reference for myself. I've never played a paradiddle. Like I'm not there, but like I can say, any band I like. It's a lot of the reason is because I like the drummer, and I saw the question. The first thing that popped in my head was Spoon. Like I love that band.
Yeah.
What a great band.
Yeah.
And Jim Eno is he thought of as the best drummer in the history of anything? Like I don't know, maybe not, but and I'll also say some of their drums started getting programmed on loops and stuff here in the past few albums. I think the most recent one though, he mostly just played. But most of the Spoon catalog is Jim Eno playing, and I think he's just really good, and he's always in the service of the song, and like I definitely enjoy. I mean, the easy answer is In the Air Tonight.
Yeah. I mean, those were was that the first? No, it wasn't like it was like the first like mainstream song that used electronic drums, right?
I don't even think that was electronic drums. I think
Really?
it was a specific noise gate that they put on the sound. So he played them, but then they put them through a board that put a noise gate on it and made it sound different. Bill the Pony says, did the Bengals make the right call keeping Zach Taylor given the insane competition for coaching talent this year? There's no way that the Bengals would have been able to get one of the top end candidates.
I mean,
the answer is no. They did not make the right call.
Yeah, I mean, you could do worse, but come on. I
The
mean,
answer is no.
this whole thing, it's got to be over, right? This Zach Taylor thing.
It's dead and hasn't fallen down yet. Like, there's a world where, of course, they can be better if they get better health out of the quarterback. It's just I've seen enough to know. I gotta say that, like, philosophically, I'm kind of over the play caller being the head coach. Yeah. I know Sean McVay does it, and he's really, really good. And I know Sean Payton does it, and he's really, really good. But I think Sean McVay and Sean Payton sometimes have sort of unbelievable moments of brain deadedness because they're so busy with the IHOP menu in front of their faces that they kind of lose the forest for the trees. And those guys are awesome. And Zach Taylor, I don't think is awesome. And he's also losing the forest for the trees. And if it were me, I would be after a different solution. Not least because I'm sure Joe Burrow likes Zach Taylor a lot, but Joe Burrow has also said, I don't know if I can keep losing like this. I might need to go somewhere else. And if I were a Bengal fan, I would be terrified.
Yeah, I think the thing with a guy like Zach Taylor is he doesn't strike me as a CEO type coach. And so if he's not calling plays, like, what is it you do around here? And so he Zach Taylor is more of an offensive coordinator, I think. It just like I think Mike McDaniel will be a better offensive coordinator than he was a head coach.
Matt LaFleur.
Yes,
same thing. Like I think we're agreeing that basically the problem is that these guys have game management problems because they're so focused on the job of being the team's offensive coordinator.
Exactly. Yeah. But the Bengals as a franchise don't seem to be really, don't seem to care much about improving or winning. And there's also the fact that Joe Burrow misses half of every season. I mean, what can you do with that?
In some ways, though, isn't that like the excuse to not? I've watched enough Bengals games and seen Zach Taylor mess up enough things that I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm all good. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying he could never be good somewhere else, but I think he needs to get better at the day-to-day game management stuff. Yeah. Another theme that crops up here at the end. Two people asked. Jonathan asks, Denny, will you publish Chris's book? And then Owen Gray says, Denny, as the biggest and most powerful account on Blue Sky, surely you can muscle some stupid book agent to get them to rep Chris's book.
Well, first I need to muscle them to publish my stuff, and then right after that I'll say Chris Harris has a book that you need to publish as well. I'm gonna say it's a package deal, brother. You take it, and they're gonna say we'll leave it.
That's very generous. Greg says, Dennis, are you still washing your feet in the shower? If so, are you still having trouble slipping on your soapy feet?
Yeah, so this is something that's come up in Living the Stream a few times, because my wife told me a couple summers ago, she was like, look, I have to tell you, your feet stink all the time. Like, it's not okay. I can't deal with it. And, look, it stings a little, but I was glad that she was honest with me, and like, instead of just like dealing with it. So I went ahead and I really focused on being thorough about washing my feet. Now, I don't judge folks who don't wash their feet specifically in the shower, okay? But I need to, okay? And yes, I do. And yes, I have found ways to make sure that I don't slip and crack my head open, which is nice.
I mean, I wash my feet at the same time as I wash the rest of me. Do you do extra things in the shower just for your feet?
Well, honestly, before the complaint was filed in HR in my home, I rarely, except like after I exercised, I would like actually like take the bar of soap and like wash my feet. But besides that, I wouldn't. I would just say, well, the soap's trickling down, right? It's trickle down soap, Like,
it's Reagan soap.
Oh God, you took it right out of my mouth. I was going to say Ronald Reagan said this is the way to clean my feet. So I thought that I could just use it.
I stepped on your joke.
No, it's fine. No, it's good. We're aligned. We're aligned.
Yeah, we are in alignment.
We are in alignment.
Sage of Madness says, I would be happy to hear some of Denny's thoughts on which teams should establish the run in 2026.
Which teams?
The answer is all of them, of course.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is something to say, and I actually hope to get into this in the off season about the decrease, a pretty marked decrease in dropbacks and pass attempts over the past couple of years. Yeah. And teams are playing a lot of too high safeties. Teams are playing a lot of light boxes, and they're basically inviting teams to run the ball, right? And so I think there are teams that probably should run the ball more than they do. I mean, the Bengals come to mind. The Bengals still pass. Bengals are still operating. The Chiefs still operate as if it's 2020.
Yeah. And lastly, one final question that I will not receive well, but you may. Guru says, say that you were able to pull only one non-football related fact or stat for every single player before a fantasy draft. Which fact or stat would give you the biggest advantage for fantasy? This is a non-football related stat. So reason I said I wouldn't receive it because I read it as football. Like, give me the stat for football that you want before a draft to help you know if you want to take a draft. That would be like none of them. I don't really believe in that stuff. That's why I just realized I like this question much more than I thought I did, which is
non-football.
The non-football related fact or stat.
Yeah, right. I'd have to go with a little known metric called chickpeas over expected. And then
I was going to say credit rating.
Yeah, that too. It's actually a combined metric, credit rating plus chickpeas over expected, and that really tells me all I need to know about a player.
Guru, I apologize for mocking the question, because at first I was ready to dismiss it, and then I was like, wait, this is an awesome question. Of course it's credit rating plus chickpeas over expected. Absolutely. All right, well, this was wonderful. I appreciate you coming on and being goofy with me and answering all these wonderful questions. You can find Denny on Blue Sky. Just look him up there. He is the big man on campus on that platform. He's also appearing all the way through the year with our great friend Pat Doherty on the Rotoworld football show, which, if you're looking for other football listens, that one is a great combination of good football stuff and also hilarious. I appreciate you doing it, my friend. You're such a good person, and it's a pleasure just to have you be a little part of this show. And anytime you are able to come on, you will be on.
I'm always happy to come on. Thanks, Chris.
Let me thank you also so much for listening, and thank the 3 sponsors that made the show possible. We had Mosh for some protein bars that come with an awesome cause, and they taste really good. Stitch Fix for a great way to get clothing at home and shop and find stuff you like and send back the stuff you don't want. And Lisa, by now I sleep on a Lisa bi-coastally, and I do recommend it. If you need a new mattress, you can find details about today's sponsors in the show notes of today's show, and all the current sponsors are listed at harrisfootball.com. I appreciate that when you can see your way through, if you have the means and you have a need, that so many of you do support the sponsors. It's how this whole thing has kept going for so long, and it's really all because of you. Thank you so much for that. I hope you got the impression from all of our talking today that, we care about this stuff. We talk about football stuff. It's not the most important thing in the world. Obviously, a lot of stuff going on right now. I hope everybody out there is staying warm and staying safe and sticking up for the little guy, which I'm trying to do as well. Coming up on the shows next week, first off, we will do a Super Bowl preview with Andy on the Paywall Andy Show on Monday, the Yacht Club. We'd love to have you subscribe there. And then over here on Thursday, more Super Bowl talk, of course it will be. We're going to talk about it from a handicapping perspective as well. Matt Landis, my friend from the handicapping industry, is going to join us and talk about what the movement's like and where the money is and all that stuff, and find some value if you want to place a few small bets on DraftKings for the Super Bowl. That would be pretty fun as well. Just want to update you on the schedule. The Yacht Club show is going to keep being weekly. The Yacht Club show is going to be, every week until I can't make it. I can't think of anything to talk about, but we have some great ideas, and we had an awesome interview with Rat Boys, a band who I've played on the show before and love. That was this past Monday. I've got a couple of other wonderful non-football guests already lined up for once the Super Bowl is over. We will talk about football, do some film futures, more of them with Andy on that show. That's going to continue weekly. The Thursday show after next week, we'll take a hiatus like we normally do. It'll be 3 weeks off. We'll come back for 2 shows about NFL free agency, then take a couple more weeks off, then come back and talk about NFL draft all the way through March and April. Just wanted to get you ready for what's coming. We'd love to have you over on the Yacht Club side. If you can see your way through, there's harrisfootball.com is where you find out how to subscribe. It's still $5 a month. We'd love to have you, but you know what? I love having you here too, and if this is what you've got in you right now, that's so wonderful to have you keep coming back. I do appreciate you so very much. Until then, thanks again so much for listening. Your hat is awesome. You're awesome for wearing it. I will talk to you next time.
The Harris Football Podcast's opening theme is Under the Gun by Apex Manor. The closing theme is Say Yes by The Wellspring. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and never miss an episode.